They've won many, many awards and have sold in the region of 10 million records, thanks to tracks like Of the Night and Pompeii. Ew. Come on, I had to. They've also had success collaborating with artists like Craig David and Marshmello. I was first introduced to them when I did the Radio 1 review show, and my friend Kate, who was a friend and fan of the band, slipped a CD, remember those, under my nose, and I was thoroughly impressed and managed to get them on the show. So, very happy that I got the chance to talk with frontman Dan Smith for this podcast, and now you have the chance of hearing what he had to say. Dan, thank you so much for joining us on Play Next. It's lovely to see you, even if it's virtually.
Thanks so much for having me. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. I was excited to see what colour your hair was going to be, or if you'd have hair.
Oh, yeah, no, I do. I've got hair today.
It's good.
Yeah.
How's it been for you creatively? Has it been a creative time, or have you found it quite hard to kind of find that headspace?
It's been a mix, you know. I think at the beginning we were sort of in the middle of making loads of new music, which felt really exciting. And then, you know, like with everything and everyone, there's nothing like a global pandemic to give a bit of perspective on things. So that was, you know, I guess I kind of stopped, and, you know, other things felt way more important for a while. But at the same time, I think being able to write songs was a real luxury and a real lifeline. And having started a bunch of music and being able to kind of continue that and then also work on new stuff as well definitely gave a bit of routine. But yeah, I got back into the groove, and we've been super productive.
It's been kind of really interesting in terms of, like, I went to studio to do some filming for Sky back in June, and that was the kind of closest thing I got to, you know, a normal studio with a crew. And it was really weird because I had 2 days of it, and then it was kind of taken away from me immediately. And it was like, I got really down because it was like, I don't know when I'm going to get to do that again. You know, I know how much I get out of what I do because I'm not getting to do it as much. And you must feel that, particularly with the live side of things, you know. I
really love writing songs, and that's sort of where I'm most comfortable and where I feel most like able and excited. So a lot of the other things that come in with being in a band maybe don't sit like as well with me, but I'm also really aware that they're not bad things, and I'm very lucky. So you think, you know, touring as a lifestyle, it's just mad, as you know. It's almost in a kind of like upside down perverse way. It's allowed me to have this year of just focusing on making music and none of the other stuff that I've sort of never really had since before our first album came out. And getting to just, enjoy being a writer and working on our own stuff, working on other people's stuff, doing sessions, like doing Zoom sessions. Like, it's so weird and feels like the least natural thing in the world, but in our own way, kind of managed to make it work. Yeah. And actually you've written probably one of my favourite songs that I've ever done in a Zoom session, which seems so weird to say out loud. And how do you write a song on Zoom? As someone that's always just written as and when, the idea of like a songwriting session in itself feels weird. The idea that you go sit in a room with someone that you either do or don't know and be like, let's write a song. It feels like the least kind of natural thing ever. And so on Zoom, everything about it is embarrassing and odd and bizarre. And I did a few that felt really unnatural and didn't really work. And I think when people are trying to produce in those sessions, it was a nightmare with like the delays on Zoom and all that kind of stuff. There was one session I did with a guy called Dan Wilson, who I'd been quite excited to work with for a while. And I'd met him when I was in the US, and we ended up just doing the session anyway over Zoom. And I think in not thinking about production and in it being me at the piano and him at a guitar, it's actually quite intimate, and you probably concentrate more staring down the barrel of a camera on your computer than you maybe would in the room. And also, you know, it was LA his time and UK my time, so we started at 9 at night, and I was like, I don't want this to go on too long. And in that particular session, you know, he's like a successful writer in his own, you know, he's done so many amazing things in his band and as a songwriter. So I sort of going into it, had this idea, this sort of story that I wanted to tell. I'd seen this film, and, you know, anyway, I had loads of notes, and it was one of those, like, things worked out. The song came out immediately, and he's such a pro that he didn't let me leave until everything was completely done with the song. And you know, and I guess for me what's interesting is I've always, with Bastille stuff, like, and stuff for other people, produced and written at the same time. And in this situation, you know, it was just a song at a piano, and it didn't exist anywhere. We didn't record it. So for about a month, the song only really existed, like, in my head. And that was really nice. The credits that you've got of so far of kind of
songwriting credits. It's an amazing collection of artists. So is it a case of they come to you and they go, whether it's Bragg Bowman or Dan Crowe or Foxy, they all just come up and go, damn, do you want to come and do some writing? Or, how does that work?
For me, like, writing songs is something I always just do anyway, so I kind of get on with it. I have like a rolling list of voice notes and ideas on laptops, and so for me, like, there are constant waves of like ideas that I have down. And I guess for Bastille songs, it's generally had historically been like the things that feel the most authentic to me, the things that I want to write, they be the Bastille songs. Then there's, occasionally there's other ideas that don't feel right for us. But yeah, I guess with the songwriting, like, I made a conscious decision a few years ago that I wanted to write for other people. In our kind of process has always been like, I'd write the songs, I'd demo them, and then we'd work on them and then like produce them with our friend Mark Crew, so I've sort of co-produced all of our stuff with him. And that's been like 3 albums worth of stuff, like 4 mixtapes, like, songs for other people, all this stuff. And I guess getting to the end of our last album, which I guess sort of wrapped up in like February this year, it felt like the end of I don't know, maybe it's self-imposed, but the end of like a trilogy of everything, of like aesthetics and ways of working and all that kind of stuff. And I felt like in order for me to remain somewhere in the realm of sanity, and in order for us just to like stay interesting, I wanted just to loosen up the process a bit and kind of just collaborate more.
But it's also lyrically, you've never been shy to have something to say. Did you always want that to be the case? Did you always want to kind of be able to use music as a way of starting a discussion or reacting to something? Or
yeah, that's a really good question. I think the first album, they were almost like a collection of stories, and I was like very obsessed with, as I still am, like film and narrative and literature, and trying to use like things that I found interesting outside of my life to reflect on more personal things. And then I think when we were making our second album, we released it in 2016 in the backdrop of, Trump being elected and Brexit and these kind of world events that were kind of hard to ignore. And like, there's a song about grief. There's a lot of the album is wrapped up in like, how the you meant to react to these changes in the world that are so confusing and distressing. So, there's a song about losing yourself in somebody else for the night, or like burying your head in the sand, like, and then that's definitely something that became a preoccupation for us, and that's basically what the third album was about.
We've had these 2 new pieces of music from you guys. Are those tracks planned for an album, or what's the idea with those?
We wanted to sort of change things up a bit and just release stuff as it felt relevant. So, what are you going to do? This sort of like loud rock song with Graham Coxon, the idea of it was living in 2020, like in or out of lockdown, having everybody constantly vying for our attention, and that kind of being such a premium. I don't know. It was our kind of like our like punk challenge to people. Like, if you're going to fight so hard for our attention, at least do something decent with it, or give me something at the very least funny and entertaining once you've got me. It's kind of like our teen spirit moment or something. And then with Surviving, again, yeah, it was like a thought process that I had last year, but it's felt relevant this year. And I guess because of that, I was nervous to put it out. But yeah, I just wanted to surprise people with each release. And I think with what you're going to do, potentially sow the seed that maybe we've like, quote unquote, like gone rock, which like we haven't. But yeah, like there's, I guess, just to show off all the elements of different music that we love and the different things we want to do, and keep it interesting for us and just keep it spontaneous.
Dan, it's so great to chat to you, mate. Really lovely to see you, and you look really well, and great to hear that, that you're finding these brilliant ways to be creative and constantly, have music to provide us with as fans. So thank you so much for your time. It's really great to chat.
Thank you. Thank you so much.